What's going on, guys? This is Chase McAllister. I'm your host of the Cut to the Chase podcast. We have Channing Gardner here. She's been a pretty person actually on my profile. I've been getting your content quite recently. I have to say she's quite knowledgeable in the insurance space, so I thought let's have her on. So without further ado, Channing,
Yeah.
can you maybe just tell us a bit about yourself? Who do you serve, and why do you serve those people?
Yeah. So my name's Channing Gardner. I'm the owner of Business Health Market, and I founded the company in 2020. And then for 2 years, researched different partners that I wanted to work with. Because if we're honest, there's a lot of corruption in insurance, and ethics is not the first thing that you're trained on.
Yes.
It's how to close, right? And so what was really important to me was to build a space where the client is protected first and foremost. And by protecting the client, we truly are providing the best value, the best service, and also holding the carrier accountable. Because a lot of times as salespeople, you believe in a carrier, but then they don't follow through on that promise you made to the client. And that's how insurance as a whole gets a really bad name. And so I was the crazy one that was calling up like United Healthcare and Blue Cross Blue Shield and interviewing them. And they were like, this isn't how this works. We interview you. And I said,
Awesome.
no, like I have OCD, ADD. I'm an overachiever. I'm a workaholic. I already know that you want me. I need to make sure your ethics line up with mine. And at the end of the day, none of them did. And so I just decided to launch 100% independent where I can hold the carrier accountable and make sure that the client gets the best value and they're not getting screwed over.
I love it. I love it. So when did you get started in the insurance space?
So I got my license in 2020.
Very cool.
In the middle
Right
of
in the pandemic.
Yep. So I'm one of those that I was a move-in coordinator for a retirement community here in Oklahoma City, and I absolutely loved that job. It was literally the best. And so when COVID hit and nobody was able to move in, they were like, well, move-in coordinator's the first one to go. So they said, in 24 hours, we no longer need your position. I cried my whole last day. And then after feeling sorry for myself for a couple months, I just started applying to everything and anything. I had no idea I was interviewing for insurance, to be honest.
Yeah, it's funny because and sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're fine.
we just had an episode where I was talking to a pretty predominant agent actually as well, and same thing. Had no idea they were interviewing for insurance. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And so it's funny because my pawpaw, he owned an insurance agency, and he was actually one of the very first agents with American Fidelity. He's the one that helped them expand into multi-states. And I mean, they had a John Wimblott award. He was the top trainer, the top recruiter, the whole 9 yards. And so insurance was never something I wanted to do because there was massive shoes that I had to fill. So I kind of fell into it. And I'm so blessed and thankful that I did.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, just for an example, you started in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's like one of the biggest things you think business owners are getting wrong when starting their business? Because you clearly have had some success.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, if you could give some advice to your younger self starting in 2020, what would you have done differently?
I would say it's okay to be a bully against the carrier. I fell in with a really bad company when I first started. And I was really good at selling and closing, and I thought protecting the client. And then when 3 of my clients had passed, or their husband had passed, or, something like that, and the claims were all denied, I stayed on for 6 months just to have internal access to that policy to try and get them what they needed. And at the end, I just had to leave because I could not live with myself anymore. And I just couldn't do it. So I actually helped with state litigation against that company, and then got a cease and desist.
Wow.
And then said, well, if I can make it through that, then why not just make a career of bullying these carriers into actually taking care of the clients? So that's when I launched 100% independent, and I bully carriers all day long now.
Very cool. Very cool. So you're contracted directly yourselves with these carriers now. Awesome. Yep. Awesome. What's the typical day like? Where's your business now? Are you still a single agent? You have some guys under you. Where's your business now? Since
Yeah. So I was honestly not planning on hiring. And part of that is because in the insurance realm, there's this notion that you have to hire agents in order to succeed. And it becomes a lot like an MLM, right?
Mhm.
And instead of teaching you how to recruit and train successful agents, it's all just about get the numbers, get the numbers, get the numbers, and the right ones will stick.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that philosophy. I know that it would work out that way in the end, but I'm very much more a how can I help everybody succeed and how can I get everybody in the right position to win? And so I do have two agents now, but they found me and they begged to work with me, which is fantastic because I really don't have to. I don't have to drive them or push them. It's something
Mhm.
that they wanted and they asked for. And so now there's two agents. There's about five more that I interview and then I pray on it and then I make sure it's the right fit before I hire now.
Very cool.
And so now we work 100% referrals. We don't buy leads. We generate leads by forming connections with other business owners in the community and having a really great referral program. And it's great because it means that I'm never forcing somebody to buy from me. I'm never having to hard close. In fact, I don't sell. I
Mhm.
really don't. And I know that sounds super cliche. I educate.
Yep.
And 90% of the time, because I have such a strict interview process before I let a carrier in, 90% of the time, the client says yes because they're a referral and I only work with the top rated carriers.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
What made you kind of go into that direction? Just by specifically going, I mean, there had to have been a catalyst at some point that, made you leave an IMO, or was there a specific situation, or were you just getting fed up altogether with the structure?
I was just fed up altogether with the structure. And really, I knew that something had to change. And I kept telling my husband, like, there's something has to change. Like, it can't just keep being this way. And so finally, I was like, well, why the hell would I not be the one to blow this thing up? Like, I've always been the rebel. And so why not just come in here and say, like, I don't care if that's how everybody else does it or if this is how it's always been done. This is how I'm going to do it. And if I fail, it's just another lesson learned. Like, you know what I mean? Who
Mhm.
really cares?
So you mentioned you do a lot of referrals.
Hmm.
What's one pro tip you could give the agents listening to gain more referrals?
Yeah. So, even if you don't like group networking, I honestly hate it. I really don't like it. I'm the introvert that's also extroverted. So like this doesn't make me nervous at all. But in a group of people, I'm not going to interrupt the conversation that's going on. Like I need to be pulled into the spotlight, and then I'm totally okay with being there. But I will be a wallflower at the same time. But I go to group networking, and what that allows, if you go to the right ones, that you don't have to pay for it. They're a lot of times free. They're hosted at local restaurants, so you get to support somebody in the community. And at the end, they should email you a list of every single person that attended. Right. So those are the three things you need to look for when you're starting a free networking group at a local community restaurant that sends all the contact info. And then what I do is I set up one-to-ones with the people that I feel like would either be good clients of mine or good referral partners of mine because they're already working with my ideal client. And when I sit down, I'm just going to talk about you, Chase. I'm going to ask questions about you, about your business, who you work with, who you like to work with, who you want to work with if you're not already working with that person. And then my goal is to get you a buying client or a top-notch referral partner within 7 days. Because what that does is it proves that I am here for everyone else first. And in return, that is repaid to me because it builds that trust really, really quickly. And so if I give you a paying client in 7 days, most of the time, Chase, within 14 days, you're going to meet somebody that can use my services. And if I've done that with 50 people, you can imagine how quickly that compounds for me without having to purchase a lead. I just buy relationships.
And for the people that don't know, what are you typically selling? I know you said you don't sell, but what products are you typically working with right now? This is
Group benefits.
primarily the health market, right?
Yeah, group benefits. So I work
Okay.
with companies all the way from literally mom and pop 2 people all the way up to 4,000 people.
Yep.
I do health, dental, vision, and life. I
Very
do
cool.
still have agents. I'm still contracted with actually 2 IMOs because I do have agents underneath me at those IMOs
Yeah.
because I really believe that you should do what you're passionate about, right? Life
Yeah.
insurance was not my passion. That doesn't mean that I can't help these other agents that whose passion it is. It
Yep.
just means I don't need to be writing the application.
For
And
sure.
so what I did was hire leaders on those different branches, and it's their business. I am literally just there as like a resource if they hit a wall. Very rarely do they hit one though. When you actually empower people, you'd be amazed at how much they can actually do on their own.
Yeah. For sure. Are you, some agents like to do a holistic approach as well, but are you pretty dialed in on who you want to speak with every day? Are you so, for example, with somebody like agent you were just speaking about,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably selling a life insurance policy, and are you guys then doing cross referrals through those products? Would you suggest agents finding people that maybe sell products that they don't sell, so that they can, you know, pass referrals off with one another? Is
A
that a
hundred
suggestion you
percent.
would make?
100%. Especially because even like so Medicare sales, Medicare's in health. I don't
Yeah,
want to touch it. I don't
yeah,
want to. I don't know enough about it. I could learn about it, but it would be a waste of my time, quite honestly.
mhm,
When I've got somebody that I know that is already an expert in that market, and they don't want to do group health. And so instead of me trying to carry all of these freaking plates, how about I just build all these freaking relationships?
mhm,
And that way I can just pass off to the next person because then I know my client's getting the best of every world, right? They are always talking to somebody who is passionate, who is the best in their field, who is knowledgeable, and who is looking out for their best interest.
mhm,
And so by the time that they come to me, I've saved them 20 to 40% on their health insurance, but then I'm going to make sure that they get their property and casualty requoted. I'm going to make sure that somebody's looked over their life insurance in the last 6 months because they probably had a life change if they're now ready for group benefits. I'm going to make sure that they're looking at home warranties, that you ready to move? If not, do you have a good realtor that you can trust? If not, I know one. And so really by the time that they get done with this whole process, we've saved them normally 15% on every single paid service that they have going out of their business every single month. Those clients are never going to leave me or any of my referral partners because to
mhm.
them, this is a group collection of value.
Yeah.
And so they're going to come talk to us and say, hey, I'm unhappy with this before they just up and leave.
Hmm. Very cool. Very cool. I think a lot of our audience would be a little bit more interested into actually the products. Maybe you could
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about the group benefits product, as if I was just a client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love doing this. Honestly, this is the part
Sell me
where,
on some group benefits.
yeah, this is the part where I've already been approached by United Healthcare and Blue Cross, and they're like, hey, can we buy you out? I'm like, no, my ethics aren't for sale. Thank you very much. So health insurance has basically just become this corrupt infestation house, right? And so basically, anytime that Uncle Sam gives you a problem and then gives you the solution, it's probably not the best thing for you. So Obamacare made it almost practically illegal for you to not have health insurance, right? Or you're going to pay a tax penalty for not having health insurance. And then Uncle Sam said, by the way, here's a really convenient place for you to shop for it. That is not something to be trusted. That means that there's money going back and forth because it's being basically advertised by the government. And what happened is it put United Healthcare, Blue Cross, all those big carriers, it kind of put them on a pedestal, gave them the right to really charge whatever they wanted. So you'll notice since Obamacare, there's been a rate increase of roughly 15 to 20% year over year over year over year over year. It's not going to stop because they don't have enough competition on the market. So that's where
Yeah.
somebody like me comes in that says, I don't care, I'm blowing this whole system up, and they can get pissed if they want. And so what I found is most of the time people are shopping based on their premium versus shopping based on their deductible, their max out of pocket, and their co-insurance. And that's because those things have never been they've never been educated on them. They don't even know how they work or what they do. And so that's the first step that I take is when I'm explaining, I say, even if, Chase, you're not going to come to me, I want you to know how to shop for health insurance so that you know if you're getting screwed over or not. And so here's 3 regular PPO plans, because it should always be PPO. A health insurance company should never tell you what doctors you can or cannot go to.
Yeah.
If they are, they're getting a kickback from that doctor. Right now in Oklahoma, United Healthcare decided they're not going to work with OU Medicine, right? Or at least that's what we were told as the community. Mm-hmm. Really, in the background, what OU decided was United Healthcare is not giving them enough money. And so OU is not going to accept United Healthcare unless they bump up their referral fees. So now they're just negotiating how much of an increase they're going to charge the clients in order for UHC to be accepted at OU Health. It's just messed up. And so PPO should be the way to go. You should go to any doctor at any time, in any state, in any country, based on the healthcare that you need. Flat, plain, and simple. The second thing is mental health should be covered from day one. Health is literally in the name. Why would your health insurance not cover it? In fact, 90% of the issues that we see in our community is because mental health is not being treated. Because really, if we had mental health, our depression, our anxiety, our ADD, our all kinds of things would go down. Our diabetes, our high blood pressure, there's all kinds of things that's tied to the brain first. And then third, your self-care should be included. Because if I actually take care of you as a soul first, Chase, do you think that your health will be better? If I make sure you're getting massages or gym time, and I'm paying for golf time, and I'm paying for yoga or meditation, or however you caring for yourself looks, your health is going to be better. And so what this does, instead of being health care that is reactive, it is health care that is proactive. I want you to be healthy. I don't want you to have to be on a ton of prescriptions. I don't want you to have to go see specialists and doctors after doctors. Now, if I get there, I'm going to make sure that's covered. But we're going to do all of this stuff before then to try and avoid that end consequence. And that's what I do.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, unfortunately, I am Canadian, so I don't think you're going to sell me today. But
no, you'll be my 10%.
But I do have to say though, here in Canada, obviously our health insurance is covered like doctor wise, but what we do lack is readily accessible knowledge on how to gain benefits like that, because where we were like, oh, I just need to have a job that gets us benefits. That's the common misconception here in Canada, where group benefits is actually they still have them here for those extra things, those proactive things. And I think it's a very big, like it's very slept on, right? Like if people don't think about the proactiveness, they just think, what's the baseline necessity that I need,
right?
And yeah, it's like it's anything, right? You're gonna water the flower. If you don't water the flower, it's gonna die anyways, right?
And then you might pay money for fertilizer, but it might already be too far gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I ask all my guests this. I typically ask in the beginning, but we kind of just went into it, so I wasn't gonna let you stop. So, if you had a 50% chance to win $10 million or a 75% chance to win one, what would you take?
I'd take the 50.
You take the 50%?
Yeah.
Cool. That's commonly, that's typically what they're asking, but it's a good question to kind of gauge where your risk factors are, right?
Yeah.
What's kind of taking you from 2020 to now. So in respects of like just some common knowledge for our audience, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Really, any best advice is going to sound super cliche, right? Yeah. So at the risk of sounding cliche, fail fast and fail often.
And why? Why is that the best?
If I can go out and I can fail, and this is what I tell my kids too, right? So if I can go out and you can try out for that school play and it's a musical and you fail and you suck at singing, like congratulations. Now we don't need to put any more effort into that thing. But if you failed and you loved it, well, now we've got a skill that we need to hone to get better at so we can be more successful next time. If you never take the chance at all, you have no idea, did I miss out on this dream? Or is there a skill that I missed out on getting? Right. And so honestly, like that's why probably my answer is the 50%. I would rather take a shot and not hit it than not take the shot at all.
Good.
That's
Good.
what I would prefer.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think I consistently live at zero, if you know what I mean by that, in the sense of like cash flow, everything. I try to always live where my back's against the wall a little bit, because my coach, I have a business coach, and he once said to me when I first started our business, he said, if you go out and rent an apartment you can't afford, I'm sure you'll make rent. And it's kind of the assumption of like, go out and just get it done. And I'm sure once your backup is against the wall, you get a little bit more proactive. So what's one thing that you use for yourself to keep you maybe motivated, disciplined? Is there any pro tip you would give our audience on motivation or discipline?
Yeah. So first of all, numbers are super important. I am a big component of, if I need to hit this monthly revenue, how many people does that mean? But in the meantime, that is not actually how I structure my goals, right? That just tells me what I'm aiming at, but I need to know the actions that it's going to take to get there. And so working the math backwards, I know that I need to sit with at least 6 people every week, 6 new people every week for one-to-ones. And that is going to get me the return that I need to hit this other revenue goal. And so I try not to base it even on like number of appointments sat with, right? If you can base it more on how many relationships you need to cultivate or how many referrals you need to pass, right? I know I have a 20% return. So 20% of what I give comes back. So if I want to get 2 referrals that month, I had better have given 10, right? And so I try and calculate it based off of that aspect.
Very cool. Next question. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
Hustle harder.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I think it's prevalent in insurance too. I mean, honestly, like there is a hustle factor to anything that you do in life, right? But really it should be driven by passion, not by money or ego or greed, because those are when you hit the breaking point and you fall down. If you can get up every day and you can do something that you're passionate about, or you can lead from a place of passion, you're going to have a lot more stamina and tenacity. And also realizing before you get to that breakdown point. I mean, but my first year and a half, I waited until I hit the crash point, and then I crashed hard. And then I lost out on 4 or 5 days trying to get myself mentally back into the game to start producing. And now instead, I tell my husband, say, hey, you know what? I think in like a week or 2, if I stay on this pace, I'm going to hit a breakdown. And even by just verbalizing it, I can adjust my behaviors just a little bit. Like there's some weeks I'm like, you know what? I need 2 days this week that I don't set an alarm. I need to just wake up naturally. And if that's at 8:30 a.m., 7 a.m. or noon, I need to be able to do that. And not feeling bad for pouring back into yourself.
Yeah, that was you kind of segued perfectly into my next question, which was going to be, how do you balance your business life and your personal life? If you do, because I'm terrible at it. My days bleed into the next. So
yeah. Very stressfully. No, so even though my husband does not run the business with me, he doesn't do the daily activities with me, he's very much involved in this with me. I don't make any business decisions without him being in on it. And that's more of an accountability factor to me, to make sure that I don't put myself in situations where I'm going to be way too overstretched. But I also think that sometimes you just have to realize that if this is something that you really want, there are going to have to be sacrifices that you have to make. Like this week, for instance, last week I was at a leadership summit. So I had to take 2 full days not doing any actual production in business. not doing any agent training. But I needed to pour back into myself. And now this week on Wednesday, I'll be flying to Ohio for an insurance conference where I'm going to talk about what I do and how it can help life insurance agents get more business. And I'm going to miss the first day of school. And like, that sucks, but we had to weigh the pros and cons and say, as a family, is this worth the sacrifice or is it not? And this time it was. This same thing next year might not be. And I'd be like, no, we're not going to do that. It's not going to be worth it. And so I think taking each individual situation and each individual decision and weighing whether it is necessary, or the new software that you're wanting to pay for, or because I'm very much the like, I like it, I'm buying it, year contract. My husband's like, oh my gosh, you're going to use it for 2 months and then find something better.
Yeah.
And so just find somebody to be accountable with, that you can be 100% honest with. This is worth it because X, or this is not worth it because Y. So
you're speaking at a conference.
We
want to drop some mentions, get some followers. Where is this conference? What is the conference?
So unless you're in the Equus IMO system and with the Theodore group specifically, you will not know of this conference. Cool. But it is the Theodore Conference for Equus Financial in Columbus, Ohio.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'm gonna drop your channels here, but if anybody wants to get a hold of you, what are they getting a hold of you for? I know we've kind of gone over the group benefits.
Yeah.
But what's that process look like if somebody does want to get in touch with you? Because I know that there is a lot of business owners here that will be listening. And then 2, if you want any promotions, anything you want to mention, by all means, share it with the audience.
Sounds good.
I'll get you on your way because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, yeah, no problem. So best way to reach me, or easiest way to reach me, is just the website down below. So whether you're an agent that's sick of being abused by your carriers or your IMO, whether you're a business owner that thinks you're getting screwed on your health insurance benefits, if you hate paying your health insurance bill, you are with the wrong carrier. Like that's the straight up rule. And then, or if you're just interested in more, my website's a great place because you can get a quote, you can just message me or email me. It's the kind of all in one. If you're interested in like, who is this Channing person and what's she really about, my TikTok is the best place to go. I am crazy. I call out the big guys. I am a rebel. You'll see me with or without makeup on. Like, I am not into myself whatsoever. I'm just into I like having fun. So if you don't like yourself, right. If you don't like my TikTok, I am not your leader and I am not your broker.
Perfect.
Because that's who I am. Perfect. And if you would love to hear about all my failures, you can buy my book from Amazon. It's called Don't Be a Lemon. And it's about my failures as a leader new in the insurance industry and how I was able to turn some of those around and how some relationships I lost because I couldn't see that I was the problem.
We're going to have to recap this. We're going to have to do a rather replay. I'm going to bring her back on after I've read the book.
Yeah, that's good. And then they're going to be like, wow, you're really screwed up there, huh? Yeah. Yes, I am.
Awesome, Channing. Well, I appreciate you jumping on with us today. For anybody that got some value, please like, share, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify, hit the subscribe button. We need you guys listening. I need those numbers up, my people. So please like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook group. Get on our Facebook group community. It is the best community out right now. We're bringing in the best guys in the insurance market, just like Channing herself. She's been great. So like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode, guys.